Okay, so this next lesson just talks about how does a loan work? Okay, what's the foundation of taking out a loan? Okay, so in this example, we needed 12 grand from the bank, 5% to buy a boat, okay? So this person went to the bank, they wanted to buy a boat, so they borrowed $12,000 from the bank to buy this boat. The bank will use the boat as the collateral for the loan. So what does that mean in a sense, collateral? So what do you think would happen if this person was not paying the bank? So if you borrowed that $12,000 and then got your boat, but then you stopped making your payments, what do you think would happen to you? Repossession. They would just take the boat. Okay? So if you can't make monthly payments on a house, what do you think would eventually happen to your house? The bank would take it. Okay? So here's how the mortgage was, or the loan was starting. So obviously I owed $12,000, okay? And we're making payments every month of $350. Okay, so here's what happened. You paid $350 to knock down your price, but the bank took $50 and then this only went down by $300. So then the next month you pay $350 again, but the bank takes interest, so now this only goes down by $301 instead of $350. Okay? So that's how it works. So you always make a payment to try to cut your loan down, but the bank takes a chunk every time. Okay, so here's what we can talk about with loans. Basically, the idea is, let's compare the start of a loan. So when you start off a loan, there's a big chunk of your payment that goes to the bank, which is the interest, and a small portion that goes to the principal payments. By the end of your loan, that'll kind of be flipped around. The majority of your money will go to the principal and less would go to the bank. So let's say you're paying off a car and you make $500 every month. You give them $500 every month. Okay? At the start of this loan, you might be paying the bank $150 each month, and $350 would be going to your actual car. Okay? Versus by the end, that would kind of be switched as a ratio. Like this would be higher, and then this would get lower. Okay, does that kind of make sense? It really sucks at the start of the loan. Okay. Do you understand that a bank, the interest, the higher the interest, the worse it is, right? Right now, the interest rates are high. People are having a hard time buying houses. The interest rates are getting higher and higher, which means somebody that's paying $500 a month for a car might actually be paying the bank $400 a month, and you're only knocking yours by 100 or something like that. Okay? It's a little bit scary. Okay, so we're gonna figure out what was happening. So remember, he bought the boat for $12,000 boat, right? And then they're on different pages here. Let's talk about this. So $350 each month and 5% compounded monthly. So this is what I know. I bought a $12,000 boat. I'm going to make payments of $350. Okay, and we're going to work until it's paid off. Okay, ready? Interest would be 5%. The loan starts at $12,000. We're going to make $350 payments each month. That's out of our pocket.
Will the 1,200
$12,000.
be negative or positive?
It's going to be positive. Because that's not money that's in my pocket. Okay, so let me think about that. I think it's positive. The future will end up being nothing because we're going to pay it off. We were making 12 payments a year and it said compounded, so we're going to see how long it takes. Okay, so loans, we're just going to put them in as a positive value. Okay, did we get the 37? It's good. Okay, so it's going to take me 37.07 payments Okay, so how long did it take to pay off the loan? It would actually take me 38 months. Okay, because 37 payments of 350 and then there's more. So then on the last time I pay, I'm not going to pay 350, but I'm going to make another payment. Does that make sense? Okay. How much did he spend altogether? So we would be doing the 37.07 payments times $350. So I'm going to be doing a copy paste on my screen. So apps. So first of all, I cleared everything. I'm on my home screen. Apps, finance, VARs, N, enter. So I'm going to make that many payments of $350. So how much interest was charged? How do we figure that out? This is how much it cost me, but the boat was only $12,000, so how much interest did I have to pay in all? Okay, so we're going to subtract. Subtract the $12,000 off. Okay, number 2. Okay, we have a loan of 10 grand. So that's the loan. 6% compounded annually. we're just going to make one single payment at the end of 5 years. Okay, so we're going to make one payment at the end, just the end. So what of the three strategies is this? Simple formula, compound formula, or app? Just like last time. Do you see simple? No, because I see compounded annually. Okay, is there something where there's regular payments being involved? No, so then we're doing the compound formula. Okay, so we started the loan at $10,000. So how much money are we going to owe? So same idea. Last time it was how much money would we have at the end. This is going to be how much money will we owe. Okay? Straight type. So if you borrow $10,000 in 5 years, you're actually going to have to pay this much money. Okay, right? There's a cost to borrowing money. So question B, how much interest was on this? So the interest would be me taking the total minus the original loan. Okay, next loan we're going to do a renovation, so we're going to borrow money. So 3.6 compounded quarterly. So now she's already got some money in the bank. It's going to mature in 5 years. When her bank account reaches maturity, she wants to use that money to repay the home loan with one payment. She wants it to be no more than a $20,000 loan. So how much can she borrow? Okay, so what of the three? Is this a simple, a compound, or an app? Simple's out because I saw the word compounded quarterly. Are there regular payments or not? Nope, one-time payment. So compound formula. So she's wondering how much can she borrow. So she's wondering what kind of loan can she start with. The whole amount she can afford is 20 grand. Okay, but that's going to include what she's going to loan plus the interest, right? Decimal divided by 4. 4 times, and this bank account that she's looking at, she's talking about it over 5 years of time. So from now, in 5 years, what's going to happen to my money? Okay, so she can borrow how much money? So what you're going to do to get this a loan is algebraically to do what? Divide by this whole thing. This is what you would type into your calculator, right? Does that make sense? I need this alone, so I would have to divide that out. Okay, so give me a practice typing on that one. So I got 16,718 and change. So that would be what she's going to ask the bank to borrow. Because remember, her max ceiling of everything would have been 20,000, but that's not the loan. So if this is the loan, then how much interest would have been acquired? So I need the subtraction. So if their loan was this, the interest ended up being this, which was totaling the $20,000 in her bank account. All right, last question. Okay, we're trying to negotiate a bank for a mortgage on a house. We need to make a 10% down payment. Cost of the house. The mortgage will be 3.75 semi-annually for 20 years with monthly mortgage payments, which is what we're going to figure out. Okay, 3 decisions: simple, compound, or app. I feel like somebody whispered it. What's your instinct telling you? App, because I'm going to be making monthly payments. Okay, so app. And I. Okay, so here's what we're going to start with. Day 1, before we start with the bank, we're going to have to make a down payment. Okay, so what is 10% of the house cost? What's 10% of that? So that's what we're doing on day 1 before we even start this mortgage. So day 1, you go to the bank, you give them $22,500. Okay, so that is what happens when you buy a house. You have to pay that, and then you borrow the rest. So how much would I have to mortgage? How much do I need the bank? If I paid this on day 1, what's the cost difference yet to go? How much money do I have left? Okay, so this is called, I'm borrowing this from the bank now. They're giving me this money. So I paid this out of my pocket. Okay, day 1, this had to come out of my pocket. Now the bank is loaning me this. Okay, so I'm going to start with that as my startup number. I is 3.75 compounded semi-annually. 3.75 and a 2. Payments, that's what we're figuring out. what should I pay each month to the bank? And I want to do the payments monthly. So 12. I want to have no money left owing, right? That's what you do on a mortgage. You borrow the money until you pay it off. And we're going to do this 20 years, but we're going to do it 12 times a year for 20 years, right? We're making those payments. Okay, so what do you pay every month to the bank? Be careful at the bottom that when you change this, the other one just changes automatically, so make sure that they are different. Okay, alpha solve, 1197, that's what we're getting. Okay, does that seem reasonable in a life? Do you guys know mortgage payments? Does that seem like a normal amount to pay every month for a house? Yep, that's a pretty average one, I would say. Okay, how much interest do you pay? So let's talk about out of pocket. How much money have I spent? Okay, ready? Day one, you spent a lot of money. Remember, that came out of your pocket on day one. You had to put that down payment on the house first. Then, what else did we do? We paid this much each month. So how many times did we end up doing it? 12 times a year for 20 years, right? We took that out of our pocket 12 times a year for 20 years. Okay, can you go to your blank screen? Can you give me an app, finance, VARS, copy paste the payment? Enter. Okay, I don't like working with the negative, so all I'm going to do is go times -1, enter. Okay, ready? I'm going to do that 12 times a year for 20 years. Good. Plus 22,500 means this is how much money I have paid in the end of 20 years. That's how much money I paid for my house. So that would be question C. So this was A, that's how much I pay each month. This is actually question C, how much did I pay altogether? That's all the money that came out of my pocket. So question B, what's the interest? So I paid that. It should have cost me that for the house. So can you subtract those numbers? This is what I paid. This is what the whole thing should have cost. So guess how much money the bank made. The bank cost me $84,000 to the bank, right, and change, almost $85,000. Isn't that fun to think about? When you buy a house, you paid the bank $84,000 of money. Okay, and this is exactly what happens, right? Every time you're paying a loan off, you're thinking, oh, this money is just going to the bank. Some of this money is just going to the bank. But right? That's life, because it's not like you can just pay $200,000. So, okay, that's the last question. Next time, look at Jaden. You get to buy a sound system next week. Sweet.